So actually, we as a consumer, we don't
Are you
really
aware
know
of the
about
average fee per unit?
All of you are kings and queens in your own home with your own throne, and you can sit up and decide and let the business continue to woo you.
Welcome to another edition of Consumer Voice, the platform of the CPC that tells you all about your rights as a consumer and how to enforce them whenever you feel they have been breached. Have you ever purchased a plane ticket? Have you ever been bumped off a plane due to no fault of yours? Has your flight ever been cancelled without notice? Or have you been told your luggage didn't arrive with your flight? These are some of the complaints we receive here at the Consumer Protection Council and what has informed our choice of today's topic: consumer protection in the aviation sector. So in this episode, we'll be discussing your rights as a consumer, your responsibility, the duty of care owed by the airline or carrier, as well as the role of the Consumer Protection Council. Also on the program, we shall bring you CPC's activities and updates, Consumer of the Week, and our social media feedback. But first, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll go straight to our discussion segments with my colleague, Eme Ojugo. Stay with us.
Welcome to the discussion segment. Today we are discussing a topic that affects you and I. We all travel and we have challenges. So we are discussing, what are the airlines doing to shortchange consumers? What do we do? What rights do we have? And because really it's all about education. If you're educated, you know how to enforce your rights. With us in the studio here are Mrs. Bola Adeyinka, who is an Assistant Director in the Legal Services Department of the CPC. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Also is Mrs. Leke Ogundikbe, who is the Director, Surveillance and Enforcement Department in the CPC. Welcome, Madam.
I'm happy to be here.
I would like to start with you, Mrs. Ogundikbe. We are aware that the CPC has received a lot of consumer complaints in the aviation sector. Would you shed some light on the kinds of complaints we've had and how serious they've been over a period of time?
The complaints fall into two categories. You have the local flights and you have the international flights. Let me start with the local flights. One of the main complaints is delay. You find that people say that they've checked in for a flight, they've been there from 9 a.m. and the flight does not take off until 9 p.m. and really nothing is done by the airline to alleviate their suffering. And sometimes information comes in so intermittently that it's not useful to them to take any useful decision. And then another complaint that comes from there is sudden cancellation of flights. You might be on your way to the airport and then you just get a text telling you that the flight has been cancelled. I mean, at that stage, what are you going to do? Maybe you have a meeting where you're going to and all that. And then in addition to that, to compound the problem, you are unable to receive your refund immediately. If you're able to get your refund, then you have an opportunity to buy another ticket. But some people don't have enough to be able to buy another ticket. So there are complaints in that area. For the international flights, the kind of complaints we tend to get have to do with baggage. You know, lost baggage, damaged baggage, and all that kind of stuff. The issues of cancellation are not as many as in the local flights. But of course, the other things that we have to do is that when the tickets that are known as conjunction tickets, where they're linked, maybe two different airlines and they're linked to each other, sometimes the primary airline does not want to take responsibility for anything that happens with the secondary airline, and that can cause a problem for some of the passengers when they get to some climbs. So we have varied complaints in that sector.
Okay. So Mrs. Adeyinka, you know, she talked about delay and all of this, and you know, we see a lot of these passengers? It's not as if they are uneducated or they are illiterate, but I think they really do not know what to do. Now, does the Nigerian law provide for rights for the air traveler?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, there are laws, and I have with me the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Consumer Protection Directorate guide to the air traveler that basically stipulates your rights and your responsibility as an air passenger. And I'd like to read from them some of these rights that have been provided by the regulator of the aviation industry in Nigeria. And in the instances where there are denied boarding, any passenger denied boarding involuntarily shall be entitled to compensation by the airline. And the compensation is also stipulated in this document. At least 25% of the fares or passenger ticket price for all flights within Nigeria. That's your compensation, in addition to a refund if you need be. And then at least 30% of the passenger ticket price for all international flights. Also, if you are denied boarding, the operating airline is responsible, it says, shall immediately compensate the passengers and offer assistance in the form of refreshment, a meal, hotel accommodation, and transport between the airport and the place of accommodation. 2 telephone calls, SMS or emails free of charge. Now, if there are flight delays on domestic flights, delay beyond 1 hour, the carrier shall provide refreshments, telephone call, SMS or email. If there is a delay beyond 2 hours, the carrier shall reimburse the passenger the full value of their tickets. In other words, you can decide you don't want to fly anymore, and they are supposed to give you back your money. Now, if the delay is between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., the carrier, that is the airline you purchase the ticket from, shall provide hotel accommodation, refreshment, meal, 2 free calls, SMS, email, and transport to and through the airport.
Wow. So really that law, it's really like all encompassing. But
yes.
But I want to talk about the right to compensation. You know, you've mentioned all of that. This is what the law says, and but I'm in the airport and this is happening to me. Do I just start screaming, oh, your law says? How do I go about it? Because you know, a lot of times you go to their counters and you don't even meet representatives of the airline to even talk to or even say enforce your rights. How do I go about getting compensation?
Yes. Now, the first step is to know that you have these rights. The second thing is to demand for them. At the airport, there are supposed to be customer care centers of these airlines. It's required of them. And you're supposed to go there and make your claims.
Okay.
Also at the airport, the NCAA has designated offices for complaints on these matters, because these are your rights. And the airlines are supposed to abide by it, because even these are documented under the licenses that the regulator has given unto them. So they know
they have an
obligation. As a matter of fact, they are required to display these rights at the ticketing point, so that in case you are going to enter into that contract, you are aware of all the privileges that you will be entitled to. So if the passenger, for example, you are at the airport and the flight is being delayed, you go and ask for your refreshments. Ask for the SMS. The SMS is to facilitate a call in case somebody is waiting to receive you at your outbound or inbound destination. So it's actually there for you to ameliorate the hardship of the cancellation or the delay. So you go to them and ask, I'm entitled to SMS, I'm entitled to a refund, where is the hotel accommodation? These are the claims. When you begin to make because I remember some time ago, it was a common thing when initially this passenger bill of rights was announced and made public. Some airlines will come at the waiting lounge and serve, but that is no more now.